2, 1, go!
Three, two, one, Ghost. Hey, everybody. Welcome to 3, 2, 1, Ghost. As always, I'm your host with a silent G, Kyle. And also, as always, in addition, joined by my pal, Natalie. Hey, Natalie, how are you?
Hi, y'all. How's it going?
It's going okay. I am very excited to talk about this movie. When we originally putting our two initial lists of get together of what movies we wanted to watch, I think this one was a double. I think this one showed up on both. Did it not? Am I wrong?
I'm gonna need to research that. I think it may have been yours, but I think that it should have been on both lists.
Hey everyone, we're talking the remake of the remake of the remake, House of Wax, 2005. We're not talking about the Vincent Price one. It has nothing to do with what we're talking about right now. So if you watched that one, I'm so sorry. I put the date on there, so that's kind of really on you.
Yeah.
But this movie is, again, came out in 2005 and in a lot of ways feels very, very much like it came out in 2005. This director, let me see his name, Jaime Colette Serra. Kind of an interesting story here. I mean, did you know any other movies off the top of your head that he's directed?
No.
So he did two other horror movies. One was Orphan, the first one.
Okay.
Which is pretty cool. Also, Dark Castle. And then
Fun
he
one.
also did that Blake Lively shark movie, The Shallows. Did you ever watch that?
Oh yeah, I've only seen that once, and it feels like forever ago. Probably when it came out.
For a stranded shark movie, could have been worse, from what I remember at least.
I love a stranded shark movie.
I do too.
I watch any shark movies.
I know you will. And then also this movie, written by Chad Hayes and Carrie Hayes. Do you want to guess their relation?
Are they brother and sister?
They're fucking twins, Natalie. Can you believe that?
That's
spoiler
stupid.
alert, y'all. This movie's about fucking twins.
It really leads in hard to the twin plot, and like, don't get me wrong, I love this movie, but that is my least favorite part.
It is pretty unnecessary. I mean, I guess it's not. I don't know, but I just thought that was wild. I just so if anybody watches that movie and says, no, this is a fucking sham. This is not what twins are like. There's no good twin and evil twin. Doesn't matter like how the situation pans out or whether or not they grew up in an abusive situation or whatever the fuck's going on with Chad Michael Murray and Alicia Cuthbert. But they can be shut the fuck down because, I mean, this is coming from the twin experience, right? Like being written by twins.
Who would know better than them?
So going forward, and I realized this after, I'll have to use it with this lens going forward. But just being like, well, okay, maybe this is legitimately what it's like.
I wonder which one of them is the evil twin.
Between Chad and Carrie, someone's got to have to ask them, right? This cast is also very 2005.
So good.
Yeah. Who are some of your favorites? Who are some of your standouts in this cast?
Okay, this is a good one for me. Where do I start? Okay, I'm gonna start with Jared Padalecki. I think you already know that I have a soft spot for him. Jared Padalecki, of course, I fell in love with through Supernatural. He's amazing and very ripped, which, believe it or not, contrary to popular belief of all the things that I say on this podcast, is not my type. But for on-screen viewing, absolutely. Unlike Kyle, I do like gratuitous nudity in films.
I liked the He-Man haircut joke. I thought that was really good.
I wrote that down. I actually think that is probably like the best diss in this movie. So yeah, Padalecki, of course, stands out to me. But God, there's so many good ones. I think we both have like the biggest love for Chad Michael Murray.
Yeah, yeah, I'll
We
commit
love
to that.
him.
I mean, okay, so here's the thing. I've never seen, is it One Tree Hill? Is that what he's on?
Yeah, I've never watched One Tree Hill. I think it looks terrible, and I'm so sorry to anyone who loves One Tree Hill. And that might be surprising considering how much we talk about CW shows.
I guess we were the right age for those, but I never
Hmm.
watched like yeah, the One Tree Hill, uh I think like Gossip Girl, what's the one with
Yeah, One Tree Hill was
Lauren
on.
Graham and her daughter,
Oh, it was the Gilmore Girls, which I also
Gilmore
never watched, and
Girls.
all that. Well, no, that had Jared Padalecki.
Also, right. Yeah, no, I get
Oh, it
them all
had both.
mixed up.
Did it have both of them?
Maybe. Oh,
Maybe we don't
I'm
know.
just talking in general those types
Oh,
of
I see.
shows
Got it.
that
Got
were
it.
on a bunch in
Yeah.
the era. I never watched any of those, but it's funny because it's like it's probably what we should have been watching, but we had already
Hmm.
watched Dawson's Creek when we were probably too young for that. So we'd seen
Yeah.
them. We're like, we're already past this teen drama stuff. Like we're
Yeah. At
above
that
this.
age, at that age, like I think I attempted to watch every single one of those shows, but only a few captured my heart. Like you've got to get me within like 3 episodes. If you can't capture my interest in 3 episodes, one, you need to do better because I am an easy target for any type of teen drama. But even today, I love watching teen dramas. I love that their problems are so big yet so small.
I was watching Degrassi: The Next Generation. That was my teen drama that I was watching
Fuck
a bunch because
yes,
it
it's
was just
so good.
so fucking absurd,
It's so
and
absurd. It's so good.
it just got, yeah, just wilder and wilder, like these
Yeah.
storylines, and in this like very like looking like very affluent Canadian community, it's like I don't know what the fuck, like in like a suburb of Toronto, maybe. I don't know
Hmm.
where Degrassi is. I don't think it's a real city or a town, or is that just the name of
I
the
don't know where it
school?
takes place. That's the name of the school.
Yeah.
I
Okay.
actually
So,
don't remember where it takes place. I just know it's Canada. That's all I know. And
yeah,
Drake is there.
between I think Jared Padalecki's nice in this movie. I like him, and I haven't seen Supernatural. You're a big fan of it. My wife's a big fan of it.
I love it.
Um, I would assume some of the people that watch, that listen to us probably enjoy it quite a
Hmm.
bit too.
There's
Um,
15 seasons of Supernatural. So just to be clear, I think I made it to season 9 and then was like, I'm going to have to get to this at another time because it is long as fuck. But if you don't want to make the journey through 15 seasons, you can watch the first 5 seasons. And that's actually how it was written to end, was seasons 1 through 5. So that's your proper ending. And then they just find a way to extend the show. So if you're feeling lazy and you want to watch a good show that gives you like Buffy, Angel, Charmed kind of vibes, so you can watch the first 5 seasons of Supernatural.
you know what I'd like to do, and I know that this at least exists somewhere on the internet for people that want to engage Buffy in this way. And same with X-Files. I always lead off things like this, but they have I just want to watch the Monster of the Week episodes. Like I don't need to get bogged down with
I
all
thought
the
you were going to say the
larger.
opposite. I was going
I
to
don't
say,
want to
why
get
would you want to leave out the monster of the week?
Oh no, I don't want to get bogged down with all the drama and the long and interconnecting
I
storylines.
hate that so
Just
much.
give me the one and dones, and I'm sure there's a list on a Reddit somewhere for that
I
show.
hate that.
um
I am a I'm such a completionist. Like I feel like there's so much that you get to know about each character in every single episode, whether it be like pivotal to the story or just, a random episode that doesn't move anything. Like you just that's where you get close to them, like a little bit of both.
hmm.
Go
See, I
through
don't
it
want
all.
I don't care about the big story arcs. Just give me, especially with
You
like
would if you
X-Files
finally
too.
took the time to watch Buffy.
Maybe it's just like with X-Files, it's like I don't know, it just becomes this alien pregnancy storyline so quickly, and I'm like, just give me like the once a week spooky shit. That's all I want. Um,
Well,
and
that's my least favorite. That's my least favorite like plot of X-Files, I think.
man, I want to love X-Files. I really do. I really
I
do.
love
But
it.
I love the idea of it and the
I
vibe
love
of
it.
it. But I don't know. So Jared Padalecki, he's also in that remake of Friday the 13th, which is not bad.
Yes, he's great. I'm telling you, he's really great. His character in this movie actually kind of pisses me off. I wrote down all the reasons why, but yeah, I think he's really great and I think he loves horror and I actually kind of wish he was in more. I think once he got married and started having his kids, he kind of like was just riding that supernatural financial wave and was like this is it for now.
It's pretty good.
He's probably rich as fuck.
She probably both him and Jensen Ackles,
Hell yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And there's always some like third guy, right? That's like he just kind of like made his way into the main
he
cast.
plays Castiel and I don't remember his I don't remember the actor's name, but he's great too. He's really great.
Right. Well, tune into our, upcoming
Or
Supernatural
supernatural.
podcast. We'll see. So who did we say so far? So we've got
We didn't get far.
No, we didn't get far. So we've got Jared Padalecki, we've got Chad Michael Murray, both mid-aughts stalwarts. And then speaking of which, just you got Alicia Cuthbert.
Can I just tell you?
Yeah.
I can't really think of that many movies that she's in, but let me see. She was in a movie called The Girl Next Door, which I guess is probably what she's known the most for. I do not remember anything about that movie. It's probably super dated, but she is so hot in that movie. So, so hot. It's ridiculous. She was like the perfect early 2000s hot. Like, honestly, she has a beautiful face.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, she's beautiful.
And she's a fine actress. She's good in everything I've seen her in. Yeah.
Oh no, I think she's got I really like her as a final girl in this one. Both she was in that movie, which I didn't see. I haven't seen all of. I just feel like it was always on. There was like a period of time, maybe a few years later, when like it was like the TV version was on Comedy Central or something. It like may have come on if I was at like, something by my parents' house or something. But she was also in 24.
Yeah, she's in 24 for a long time. I've never watched that show.
And that was like very much a weird, post, definitely very post 9/11 cultural situation, right? Where just like everybody was just, I don't know. Country was in a weird time, y'all.
Everyone just really loved cops.
Yeah. So
not everyone.
And then you got Paris Hilton. Actually, no, hey, before Paris Hilton, let's
throw out her last.
Let's throw out some love to Robert Richard. I haven't seen
My
him
cousin
in much,
Skeeter,
but fuck yeah, my cousin Skeeter. Fuck yeah. I was watching.
That's all I know him from.
I forget which Saw movie I was watching, but Megan Good is in that too. And I also thought about my cousin Skeeter. So a lot of my cousin Skeeter alumni showing up in some aughts horror movies. So he doesn't get a whole lot to do here, but I mean, he's a good actor.
His character's kind of one note, yeah.
And he's doing everything he can. I mean, he's charming.
Very handsome.
I like him. Yeah, I'd love to see him in more. So, oh yeah, right. He has very piercing eyes.
And then what's his name? John Abrams.
John Abrams.
Is it John? Is it? I thought it was Abrams.
I think it's Abrams too. Even if you have that extra,
because it looks like Abraham there.
But I think you're right. Weird. He was in Scary Movie.
I love him in Scary Movie as Bobby. Yeah. I love him. That's the one thing that I really remembered him from. I think he's really funny as Bobby. Just they really hype up or like amp up the trailer trash like boyfriend like angle. Scary Movie is one of my favorites, and it is so terrible. It's so great.
I feel like it's even more embarrassing to say how much I love the second one.
I love both.
It's so good.
I love both. We should probably talk about them. That would be fun.
That'd be a fun one. It's just they get really bad very quickly. I mean, and you could argue, again, like they were always.
I don't even remember the third one.
The third one is, I feel like that was on TV the most because that was the one that also was like it had like 8 Mile references. And it had Charlie Sheen, and it also had a lot of Signs spoofing.
I think that was the big like overall theme was that.
As well as maybe a little bit of Ring, a little bit
Mm.
too,
Yeah,
situation.
they throw in all kinds of stuff in there. But yeah, I like him. I think he's good at playing the
Are we still talking about Robert? Oh, sorry, Robert Richard. No, we're talking about John Abrams.
no.
Yeah.
He's just good at playing that like goofy best friend that's just kind of along for the ride, you know?
Yeah, I agree. He's pretty funny. And he actually has like a couple of like almost, well, one almost sweet moment, but he's also like an asshole because he just kind of like let Chad Michael Murray just take the heat from him.
Okay, so Dalton and Nick, one, they're both assholes. They're both assholes.
Yeah.
Um, but they do this whole like asshole with a heart of gold thing with Nick, like, you know, that kind of thing. And I'm just like, no, no, if
Not
you're an
really
asshole,
buying
you're
it.
an asshole. And even like they spend so much of the time just giving Wade shit. And then in the car when they're on their own, they're just like, I like Wade. It's like, me too. I'm like, I'm sorry. If you like him, who the fuck would know? No one knew. He died thinking you hated him.
Hey, look, going to high school in the early aughts, again, I've brought this up, just the way that men show any sort of emotion towards one another is very, I don't know. It's something that I felt like also like held a lot of shame. So like I think of that, I think of
Yeah.
Final Destination, where it's like
Oh my gosh.
literally
Yeah.
all of your friends are dead, but you can't bring yourself to like with a straight face just
Yeah.
say, "Hey man, I miss you. You're my best friend," without
Yeah.
saying like, "Hey bro, no homo." But
Yeah.
and
I don't want this to sound gay. Yeah. You're just like, what? Yeah. We're still in that era.
yeah, 5 years between the Final Destination and this, we are still very much. Let's talk about the cast here. So who else do we have left?
Did you know Brian Van Holt, who plays Bo and Vincent?
Wait, what do you mean? Just that he plays both?
Yeah, but no, I know you knew that, but did you recognize him from anything else?
Not really. He's got kind of like a Bill Paxton vibe to him.
Yeah, I didn't recognize him from anything. And as I was like looking through his IMDb, like the things he's best known for are like action movies and things like that. So that checks out that I wouldn't really recognize him.
He looks
But
like
he's a
he
good
could
looking guy.
be he looks like he could be like a military admiral or something like
Yeah,
that.
he I think he does a
That's
good job
just
in this
like
movie of being like a creep and like being intimidating while still like being soft enough to kind of trick them and make them feel safe. Like I like him.
how many horror movies are just like how many horror movies do you remember have someone playing a dual role?
Well, there's a lot of like maybe not a lot, that might be a stretch, but a few out there where, you know, you've got like an ancestor or something that's played by the same actor, you know, or a ghost or something that, you know, is played by the same actor. Thinking of X, you've got
Yeah,
Mia Goth playing two characters.
that'd be the most recent one I
Most
can think
recent.
of. Um,
Eddie Murphy does it all the time. Those movies aren't scary, but you know.
yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
Us is a good one.
but yeah, and then of course I think I was looking at like a short list. Maybe if you want to, well, we've brought up Mars Attacks as a horror movie, so you got Jack
Mm,
Nicholson, right?
yeah, he plays different roles.
That was a fun one. And then fuck, I'm sorry, it's been such a long time since I've seen the original Bride of Frankenstein. I've got a list here, but I know that um Elsa Lanchester plays both Mary Shelley and the bride.
Mm,
So I was just thinking, like, is there any sort of like, I mean, I don't know. I just remember like stagings of like Peter Pan. It's like always like kind of tradition that Captain Hook and Mr. Darling are played by the same person. And I
oh, I
wonder like
didn't know that.
what was, I mean, outside of like them being twins, even though between Chad Michael Murray and Alicia Cuthbert, it proves you do not have to look the same to be twins.
Hmm.
Even though I know, of course, like different sexes and all, but why did he have to play both roles, especially when Vincent,
He
the
wears a
other one,
mask.
wears a mask the whole time and is doing a lot of like stunt work. So I'd assume it's probably not him
It's
even doing a
probably a
lot of that.
stunt guy most of the time.
So you're kind of like,
Yeah.
and it's not, I don't know. Yeah, I guess I just don't understand really the point of it. But you know what? Good on him. He probably saved the money.
On IMDb, they only have him listed as Bo.
Hmm.
Maybe that's just because that's when his face is the most shown. So they show his face at the end as Vincent with that terrible fucking CGI like deformity that they do on his face. And I'm like, we couldn't have gone practical for that.
Especially when so much of the movie is practical, and I
Yeah.
kind of enjoyed that.
Yeah, that's what I
Um,
love about this.
so Brian Van Holt, yeah, he's fine.
Yeah.
And then we've got well, the dude that plays the other brother, right? Who's fine.
Oh yeah. He's in other things too, and other horror things, and I can't think of what else.
Just playing that same kind of situation.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, that'll be something for the research team.
right. Good for him.
Um, yeah, he does a good job of being creepy.
I don't think they even say his character's name in the movie
No,
that I
his
remember.
name listed is Roadkill Driver.
Oh, there you go.
So
So, well, I mean, that is, I guess, his job. But I mean, it's kind of like you shouldn't be defined by your labor, right?
they couldn't just give him a fucking name.
Right.
Could have been
Come on.
anything.
So, and then of course, to round out the cast, you have Paris Hilton, which again, very peak 2005,
Yeah.
including her in this movie. Um, what are your thoughts? I thought she did okay.
I have a love-hate relationship with Paris Hilton because she was like, y'all, we went to high school from what, 2000, 2001 to 2005.
Mhm.
And so Paris Hilton was having the time of her fucking life. Like she was everywhere at that time. So then I wasn't a fan of her. Now I actually really enjoy her. And I really enjoyed her in this movie, even when I wasn't a fan of her. I think I was just being a hater. She was rich, just, getting richer, which good for her. Like now as an adult, I'm like, good for you. As a teenager, I was like, you didn't earn this. But what is interesting about this movie, and I'm sure you have this in your notes, is this See Paris Die campaign that they did to advertise this movie. Like, one, in 2023, never could you get away with that. But I think it's such an interesting marketing campaign. And she was like a really good sport. Like there are pictures of her like next to the posters. And I think that's her on the cover, that like melting wax woman is supposed to be her, which I only found out maybe like a year ago. And yeah, she was a really good sport about it. She says now that she was like that, maybe it was a little bit mean spirited, but interesting that you could make a whole marketing campaign on people seeing someone die, like not even her character. Like they were like, see Paris die. That to me is wild and very mean. But because she was a good spirit about and like good spirits about it, fine. She was casted first also for this film, and everyone else was chosen around her. So I think that's really interesting as well.
So you get your core piece in place, which is Paris Hilton here, and
Yep.
then you just got to get the right supporting cast. You got some old favorites. You've got some current folk. I love it, and I don't know. So my wife was talking to me before we started recording, and we were talking about that See Paris Die situation, and she was telling me that a lot of this, not only was she a good sport, but a lot of that was like her idea and like really wanting to like amp this up, as she is just like making money off this now. And I struggle with that, and I think some of the real big winks and nods in this movie, because it's, I don't know, it just getting off on hating somebody so much, and then
Mm-hmm.
especially because it often came, looking back now, from a very sexist, misogynist place. But then also, yes, and it still felt like punching up because she was so rich and so wealthy
Mhm.
and powerful. And it's just kind of interesting where it's like, I don't think she deserved any of the hate that she got. I mean, but
No.
also, if my understanding is that if she was like really, kind of being like, all right, fuck y'all, I'll just bank on this a little more,
Yeah.
and really make it part of the identity, then I guess it kind of worked. I don't know if this was before or after that show with Nicole Richie.
This is
Um,
after and possibly
okay.
during because I know that it aired and then stopped and then came back. But like from the perspective of a young girl, like at that time, watching Paris Hilton and Nicole Richie on TV, knowing that they were both like born into money, both like beautiful blonde white girls, and me not being a blonde white girl and not having money, seeing these two girls on television making complete asses of themselves on a farm doing things that I did as a kid, like when you're in that position, you might hate them. Like I had no real like I had like no animosity towards them at all, but I was just like fuck these girls. Like they're making money off of doing things that people just do to survive and they're making tons of money just making fun of how hard it is for them because they've been, born into wealth. So I understand why people had animosity towards her, but at the same time, I have super duper respect for Paris Hilton because I think she seems like she's actually a really cool person, especially now. Like she still does her whole shtick, like she kind of reminds me of like I would bet she is nothing like she is on screen or on camera when she's interviewing, the like, that's hot. Like, I feel like that is like an exaggeration of a personality that she's created and she's made money off of it. So I'm like, good for you. So if she leaned into it and was into it, fantastic for her. And I think when you look at especially like the chase scene in this movie with her in it, she's in her bra and panties and like all of those things. Like she's in a position where she is so rich and famous and they've built this film around her knowing she read the script in advance, accepted the role, and knew like that she was leaning into this marketing campaign. I'm like, more power to her, misogyny or not. Like, she made money off of it. She had fun doing it. She still speaks highly of it. So good for her.
Yeah, I think it was like a combination of the see Paris die stuff and then also her death scene, specifically how she dies.
Yeah.
Um, you
She thinks
know,
she has the best death in this movie. They have a quote of her saying that. And I'm like, girl, no, no, you don't.
no, no, I don't think so. Poor Wade.
Not at all.
Um,
Poor Wade.
poor Wade. That's real bad.
We'll get to
Um,
Wade.
because the other thing she was, unfortunately very known for was that sex tape. And
Mm-hmm.
and that was something that, like, even if, I think, I mean, clearly she did not want that out, and I just imagine
Mm-mm.
how, regardless of, your wealth or stature or whatever, who cares? It seems just probably just really awful feeling, right? So it just
Yeah.
feels weird that, like, sure, okay, I can bank on people, and I'm not going to question her because I don't know, I'm not there, but I just thought it was just kind of interesting where she was like, okay, I'll bank on people hating me and wanting to just watch me die, but then also, I don't, I didn't do a whole lot of research into this to see if this was all completely intentional, but it's a pretty huge wink that not only does she die with a pole through the head, but then
Yeah.
also using a video camera on the side to see her head going down on this pole
Yeah.
is very phallic, very,
Yeah.
it's interesting that, I don't know,
So
it
this
also
is
feels so icky and weird to me.
this is also really interesting too because I was reading into this because I knew you were going to bring this up. She also claims that that was all written in the script, including the video camera piece when she read the script. So in my mind, I'm like, okay, obviously they wrote this role with her in mind, with how specific of a wink it is to her. What I also appreciate about Paris Hilton, also she wrote a memoir recently that's apparently digs into a lot of this. And I'm honestly more interested in it than I am about the Britney Spears one personally, but that's just me. Um, she claims that that was already written into the script, but again, like knowing that you're in a situation where you are a young woman born into wealth, trying to do the best that you can, like in the public eye. She's like choosing to put herself out there. Then you have a sex tape that is released with or without your permission. She chose to fucking reclaim that shit and say, you know what, fine. Like, I'm going to laugh with you and like be, I mean, honestly, be a trooper about it. Like, what the fuck else can you do? Everybody's already like, everybody's seen it. Like, she can go many different ways, but at that time, like the footage was out there. So I think her leaning into it and like doing things like this, like she didn't have to be in the movie. So I think that she did the right thing because now it's like a laugh with me instead of laugh at me situation. So again, I give Paris mad props.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
So,
It's great.
and pretty small cast, right? Everyone
Mm-hmm.
else is made out of wax.
Yeah, they're all fucking dead.
How do you feel about wax museums in general?
I love them in pictures, but I honestly have never had interest in going to one in person.
Have you ever been to one in person?
Nope.
Well, okay. I've been to a
Have you?
couple. Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, so
Did you
there's
enjoy them?
I mean they might both be done through Madame Tussauds, but there's the one in Los Angeles in Hollywood that's right next to the
Yeah.
Ripley's Believe It or Not
Yeah.
museum,
Yeah.
which is also really fun. But I remember that
Yeah. That's
one.
fun. I have been there.
But again, just kind of like, you know, Wade says when they're walking through the house, it's like, it's like usually it's all celebrities, it's all
Yeah.
people that it's not, creepy, weird, just random ass people making up a scene. It's always like, especially the one in Hollywood, right? And is scenes from movies, like maybe you'll have some recreation of like historical stuff like presidents, things like that. Like maybe,
Mm-hmm.
like now first steps on the moon or something like that maybe has shown up in
Mm-hmm.
wax form at some point. I remember who knows if they still have them, but the Ninja Turtles are at the Hollywood one. That's super dope. And
Oh, that's fun.
it's the version based off the second movie, Secret of the Ooze,
Mm.
which is pretty fun. So I remember checking that out. I think Hellboy was there for a minute too, but yeah, I don't know.
And
So
they make them like to scale.
yeah, they'll make them to scale, like life
So
size.
Hellboy would have been like ginormous,
Pretty big. Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they're, they're inherently creepy. So
Mm-hmm.
I get it. It's just like, I mean, certainly I'm surprised there aren't more like wax museum set movies, Gosh, you have so many fucking movies about mannequins, right? And I certainly love myself a good roadside attraction movie
Yeah.
too.
Yeah.
That's always fun. Whether it is,
Absolutely.
again, usually, puppets or mannequins of some sort, or some sort
Mm-hmm.
of weird creatures with two heads or what have you. Or just a big ass gator, just a big old gator farm. You never know.
Yeah.
So I definitely love myself a good roadside attraction movie. How about you?
Yeah, I do too. I really like anything that has to do with a group of teens or youths just driving in places they don't belong and making really bad decisions. This is such a perfect example of that. Every decision they make is so bad, yet I love this movie so much. Did you know that our boy Robert Zemeckis is one of the producers on this?
God, that's awesome. I'm sure he has his
I did
hands on
not.
everything.
I,
I
I
love
know.
it.
I was like, how many things has he produced? I don't know how I found that information, but like I saw like a blurb about him that included this movie in an article that I was reading when I was reading about Paris Hilton. And I was like, what? How fun. There he is again.
Is he connected to Dark Castle, like in those ways? He might be
Maybe.
like maybe part of that group.
Maybe.
We'll run out to the research team. The first, just kind of hopping into the movie, and we'll the first, that weird
It's a
scene with them
long
is,
fucking movie, by
yeah,
the
it's a
way.
long movie. Oh my gosh.
It's really
Um,
long.
Starting with that weird scene with them, as like toddlers, I guess, maybe like 4 or 5 years old, maybe tops.
They're still in those little high chairs. They're like three tops.
Yeah, it was a little weird.
A messy ass kitchen.
A messy ass kitchen.
Clean
That's
up
why
that wax.
it's just like
What?
all over the place. Like,
It's
I don't
fucking
know,
everywhere.
and dangerous, you would think. So,
Ugh.
and then just that weird cut with like the slap across what we learn is Bo's face, right?
Yeah,
Um,
I have no interest in anything that has to do with the twin plot and like them trying to like be like, guess what? Bo's the bad one, not Vincent. And you're like, come on.
I've
Like
seen that I've seen that Treehouse of Horror episode of The Simpsons where it's like it turns out Bart is the evil twin, you know. That's a good one. Yeah, I don't really, yeah, just all this like twin shit. But hey, I'm sure Chad and Carrie were like, hey, we need to make the twindom like very central to the plot here when they
mm-hmm.
were writing it. It can't just be a House of Wax movie.
No.
The first bad decision is when they're at the beginning, right? They're like on their
Mm-hmm.
way.
To like
Actually,
Burger Hut or whatever.
they're, yeah, on at the Burger Hut. On their way to this football game. Now they're going from Gainesville, Florida, which is, I believe, University of Florida. Florida Gators are from,
Mm-hmm.
and who I assume they're going to see in Baton Rouge, and which is about like 8 hour drive. I
Yeah.
looked it up, and you're mostly still in Florida. That most of the time you're on that top,
Mm-hmm.
going to the left part of Florida. So they never had tickets to this football game.
That's one of the most ridiculous things about this. You are driving all this way for a game that you don't have tickets to?
And Paris Hilton's like saying how, Blake was like, he's been looking forward to this game for months. I don't want to tell him I might be pregnant. And I'm like, dude, if you've been looking forward to this game for months, like,
Buy
and
tickets.
you didn't think to get tickets even when you're like 2 hours before kickoff, like in traffic, and you still,
Yeah.
I'm like, first of all,
Just
when
buy them.
they're like, oh, there's going to be scalpers everywhere. And I'm just like, scalpers are
They're a group
fucking,
of what? There's 5 of them?
yeah.
Yeah. Like that's a lot of tickets that you need to buy on the spot.
So not only are they fucking dumb because of all of that, but
Mm-hmm.
he's got his fucking GPS. I just thought it was really funny. He was like, oh yeah, hey, I found a shortcut on the GPS. It's going to save us like X amount of time. Um, I have never like tricked Google Maps into getting somewhere faster than Google Maps tells me I'm going to get there. If anything, I'm going
No,
to
it's
be
efficient
later.
as fuck.
I'll see that it's like all red going down like the freeway or whatever, but I'm like, oh, but I'm with somebody, so I'm carpooling. So
It
I'm
also
gonna,
says it will tell you this is the fastest route, even with traffic. Like it'll say that on the navigation.
but if it says I'm supposed to get, here's my thing though, is that if it says I'm supposed to say get somewhere at 3:05 and I get on the freeway and it's like fucking just, packed traffic freeway.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
But I have someone with me. Google Maps doesn't know that, or at least maybe they do. Their satellites are watching us, right? But I get on the carpool lane, which is absolutely empty, and I'm just barreling through all of this red.
Yeah.
And it's like, maybe you save 20 seconds, maybe whatever. And it doesn't shave off like any time whatsoever. I still end up somehow getting there at 3:05 because I'll get off on this exit and I'll be sitting at a red light, and then I'll see the ETA just keep popping up, being like, what are you
Yeah.
doing? What are you doing just sitting there? And I'm like, well, I'm in a red light. Did you not factor in that there's traffic lights? But you somehow factored in the fact that I had someone else with me and we're going through this carpool lane. It's a conspiracy. I know it.
I think it's just really efficient. I use navigation anytime I go someplace new. It can literally be 15 minutes away. I use navigation all the time. It is so fucking accurate. It's unbelievable. It will tell me you're going to be there at 3:05. I could be sitting at 10 red lights. I will still get there at 3:05. It knows what's up. I trust my navigation. I hope it's listening right now.
Yeah, let's not go out and say we trust
Oh, I
our
trust it.
fucking, Jesus, our Google
I
overlords.
love it.
Yeah.
Love it. I think I use Apple Maps though.
Oh well, yeah,
I
that
think I
probably
use
makes
Google.
sense.
Yeah, I use Apple.
I'm that one person in the friend group that has an Android phone.
Oh,
Sorry.
it's so annoying, everyone. It's so annoying.
I know. So of all these bad decisions, I mean, we'll just kind of barrel through this. Um, and this weird pregnancy thing with Paris Hilton, is
It's
that
such a dumb.
necessary?
There's so many unnecessary things that you're like, could we have made this movie an hour and a half long? Yes. It goes nowhere.
And I like that when she wants to bring it up again, it's like when they're about to have sex in the tent,
She
and
does a full
then
strip tease. I
she's doing a
know
full strip tease, and then she's like,
that.
by the way, it's really important. I got to talk to you right now about this. And he's like, hold on, like, I don't know, who knows, maybe that would turn him on, be like, let's put another one in there,
Yeah, he's
let's
like,
make it,
oh, okay.
I
Yeah.
guess so. Right.
No,
But
it makes no sense. Like no one who needs to talk about something serious is going to start stripping off their clothes and then be like, "Hey, I need you to focus now. This is serious."
so they leave this burger place, and this is where you're introduced to everybody. You see that, you know fucking the whole group's there. Chad Michael Murray and Alicia Cuthbert are brother and sister. It's
Uh-huh.
Everyone's like, what the fuck is Chad Michael Murray doing here? He gets invited by Blake because apparently Blake makes him,
Uh-huh.
or sorry, Chad Michael Murray makes Blake look tough, I guess. And that's according to Alicia Cuthbert. And it's established that Chad Michael Murray is just like the most unrelenting piece of shit
Oh my God, when
ever.
he kicks that man's cup and says, what does he say? Get a fucking job?
Like, you get a fucking job, you fucking loser. What the fuck are
Like,
you doing?
who does
Fuck
that?
you.
And then I think Dalton ends up giving that man change afterwards, like right behind him.
Well, okay, Dalton.
I mean, he owes a couple good favors or good deeds.
I suppose so. And then just Dalton, we just live in a post-Trump world. I can't see a red ball cap with white writing on it without like immediately being like, oh no. Especially if this person's like hanging out in like fucking like Florida.
Yeah, this is way, way before that. Another interesting thing that they bring up here that doesn't matter at all is what is Elisha Cuthbert's name?
Carly.
Carly. They bring up that Carly is going to move to New York and that she has an internship at InStyle magazine,
A very
which
romantic comedy situation. I
yeah,
love
like
it.
type of job. And that Wade and her haven't really talked about it, like him staying and her going to New York. And I'm like, why? Why did we need all of that? Like, we didn't need any, like, they don't address it to each other at any point in the film. So, like, what is the point of that? Is it just so that we're like, oh, Carly and Paige like know each other's secrets. They're such good friends. Like that's the only reason why I could think that they would have the pregnancy storyline and the internship story, because it all feels like you're spending so much time to get to know these characters, yet you really learn nothing about them except for those things. Just it feels like a lot. It feels like a lot.
Yeah, you're supposed to really, I guess, invest in these characters, I suppose. And it's
Yeah,
supposed to, I don't know, just make it harder when they die, I guess. But I'm like,
it
I don't know
doesn't.
if I it doesn't.
I'm just like waiting for them to get hunted down.
I think this does a good balance. I like these characters enough, and I'm
Yeah.
happy to see them die as well. So it's
Yeah. Because they're
all kind of works
fun.
out.
Like they're dumb, but they are very fun. So I think with what they're given, like the dumb lines that they have to say, like they're all giving it their all. Like it feels very like WBCW to me, honestly.
Yeah, I hear you.
Yeah.
Next stupid choice they make. Again, this is an 8-hour drive. When did they leave? How much were they really shaving off by going this other way around? And
Yeah.
really, it's an 8-hour drive. You all need to fucking pull over in this random ass fucking place. That drive is not far. I mean,
No.
there was a period when I was living in San Francisco, and um my family, and they still do. My family lives in San Diego, most of them. And that's, like a 10-hour drive or so. But I remember
Mm-hmm.
doing that pretty regularly. And that is, I'm like, what the fuck are y'all doing? Like, and
Like
then
eight
even
hours,
then,
9 hours.
if I was in this situation, I'd be like, if y'all are tired, sorry, you can just fucking put your seat down. I'll keep
Yeah.
driving. I'm just gonna
Yeah,
keep
just
barreling
trade
through.
whoever's the most awake. One of you is going to be awake. You
Yeah.
drive. Yeah. They didn't even
Yeah.
need to drive two cars. All five of them could have fit in that giant Escalade.
I know, and they're complaining about how small Wade's car is. I'm like,
Oh
yo,
wait,
if I
shit,
just
there's six of them. There is six people. Right? Yeah.
yeah,
There's four guys and two girls.
yeah.
Yeah.
There you go. That's cool. We've
Um
seen this movie a lot. Just keeping
another
track.
we have another interesting thing that I feel like needs to be pointed out because this is 2005 and there's not cell phones aplenty. So that's one really important thing. Like cell phone technology was pretty shitty. But also the fact that Dalton is walking around with a camera, just like taping everything. It's important for any of you listening that are not of our generation that people didn't just walk around with cameras and tape everything. Like that's a very horror movie type thing to do. Like that and like once YouTube and social media started to become a thing, then yes, everyone took videos of everything, but like it is a little unusual that he would be just carrying around a video camera, just taking, documentation of fucking nothing really.
That's always the hardest part. And I think with a lot of people with watching found footage horror movies is that it's always like it gets to the point where like, why are you still carrying this fucking thing around? And at least they kind of ditch this pretty quick, or at least,
Yeah,
how
the
it's
camera gets
used.
stolen.
And watching this, I was like, they're probably just trying to shoehorn found footage however they can into this,
Yeah.
But I was like, gosh, even, I feel like it gotten kind of stale by this point because Blair Witch came out in 99.
Mm-hmm.
Paranormal Activity doesn't come out until 2 years later, or 2 years, sorry, after House of Wax, I mean. And that's so, and that kind of jump started a lot of it. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know. But, and then of course, just still again, which is the casual homophobia with like the Elton John joke.
Oh, I forgot about that.
And I don't know why they just had those clothes just with them anyway.
Yeah.
Sure, that like 70, yeah, yellow 70s,
Yeah.
because those are not University of Florida colors. I was trying to be like, hey, maybe that's why they're blue and orange.
No.
Um, but gosh, I don't know, just pulling over some random place and camping. I'm sorry. You and us, we brought this up, I think. We are
Mm-hmm.
not happy campers in the slightest. And
No.
this shit would just be so frustrating to me as soon as we started smelling a bunch of fucking dead
Well,
carcasses too.
exactly. No, number one, no one's pulling over. No one's pulling out a fucking tent. Why did you even bring those tents for an 8-hour drive? Why do you have multiple tents and camping gear? You should not have been planning on camping at all. So, if nothing else, you're sleeping in the car. Secondly, you smelled that smell. When you smell the smell of death, I don't care if it's animal, I don't care if it's human, I don't care if it's bio waste, whatever it is, you're not camping there. You're just absolutely not camping there. That is, you go and you get yourself a Red Bull and you just make it the rest of the way through.
Especially because they wake up at 2:30 in the fucking afternoon the next day.
Impossible.
And they're like, oh my God, we got to go. The game's in a few hours. I'm like, you literally could have, I mean, I guess they're teenagers, I suppose, or
Been there
college
already.
kids. I'm like, you could have left it like 8 that morning.
Yeah.
I don't know.
They're fools, absolute fools. And then you have that situation with the truck.
Geez, that just reminds me. I just remember a friend telling me once that there was this time when they were out, like just car camping at one of the national parks.
Yeah.
I don't think here in California, I can't remember, but that happened, that they were out and just like hanging out, and then this car pulls over and just like parks and just stays there.
No,
And like I think
no.
turns its headlights on at them and then
I
just
would
stare.
leave. I'd be fucking gone. I would leave my tent. I would leave all my shit and leave.
Well, but like they're parked in like the way out, like the one,
No.
and then I think the person, and again, this is here's a story from a friend, but like, no,
An
it's not really
urban
that kind of
legend.
situation. Not really, yeah, not exactly like that, because I heard it from the source, but I just don't remember the story exactly. But yeah, that happened, and that it took like a while, and then all of a sudden they just turned their car back on and just left. And then they were just like, okay, this is fucking terrifying. Let's get the fuck out of here now. And they did. But yeah, it's, Jesus, fuck that. And then you just, especially when you have this aggro asshole with Chad Michael Murray, all just trying to fucking just outbro each other with his
And
pals and throwing shit at the car. You're like, give me the keys. I'm getting in the truck. I'm leaving. I'll drive all night because I'm not sleeping
yeah,
now. Now that y'all fucking
no,
done this.
no.
Oh,
Also, if
Jesus.
someone is doing that to you, what would make you think that the most logical thing to do would be to try to fight or throw something at their vehicle? Like, they're not communicating with you. So obviously something's wrong. They're pissed, they're weird, who knows? It's just not going to work. But I have a quick story for you, since we talked about not going camping. So
Sure.
we've discussed this before, of we don't like to camp. And so my husband decided that we would compromise, and he said, you know what, why don't we get a cabin? So this was, yes, we booked this cabin couple weeks ago, and this was yesterday that we went to the cabin. You're gonna love this. Kyle's not heard this story before either.
Oh, Jesus.
But you know my husband well. He is not a man of fancy things. So he books us like a tiny little cabin, and it was cute, but it was very much in the middle of nowhere. Like, we had to get onto like a dirt road to get to the cabin. And then I said, okay, well, at least there's other little cabins around us. He's like, oh no, it's totally private. They own the whole plot of land. So these are all their cabins, and they're not in the other cabins. I was like, oh, okay. So we're like in the middle of like just a bunch of empty cabins, is what you're saying. And he's like, yeah, it's great. And I'm like, is it? So we're in this cabin. We have Walter, our dog, who is turning 16 next year. Walter cannot control his bowels. He pees every hour on the hour, maybe more. So if there are any rugs on the floor, he will pee on them. So I said, there's like a cowhide rug in the bedroom. We need to lift up this rug. We lift up the rug. Guess what's underneath the rug, Kyle? Guess. You take a fucking guess.
Oh, it's gonna be a fucking door to the fucking basement or some shit.
It's a door. It's a door. It's a trap door.
Yeah.
So I said, Joel, come here. And Phil, in excitement, yells out, my son, a trap door. He's like, let's open it. And I was like, you better stop it. I need to take a video of this to document so that Kyle knows that I am not making shit up. So I did take a video of this, and I did not post it because I wanted to share it here, and then I will share with all of you. So we open this trap door, and there's a ladder that goes down into like this creepiest looking basement. And of course, my husband immediately is like, well, better latch up the door so I can go down in there. And I was like, why? Why do you need to go in there? Like, what? So he goes in there. And then, of course, my son is like, can I go? And he's like, yeah, of course. And I'm like, okay, well, I'm staying right here with the flashlight shined on the both of you. They didn't find anything. They just said there were paint cans in there. But boy, I did not sleep well, because every time I had to go to the bathroom, you had to walk over that trap door to get out of the bedroom into the bathroom. And yeah, it was very creepy. I did not enjoy a trap door.
God damn.
I didn't realize they were so common in cabins. But now I can't camp or stay in a cabin.
Yeah, I don't. They try to call it glamping,
Mm-hmm.
No, I know what it is.
Yeah. No, thank you. So yeah,
Yeah.
there's yet another reason to not put yourself in the middle of nowhere. And then of course, when I heard a truck start, when we were like sitting around the fire, I was like, you said that there's no one over here. What? Who is that? And he's like, oh, it's probably just one of the people that lives nearby. You said there was no one over here. What the fuck?
That's fucking terrifying.
It's fun stuff.
Yeah, it's awful. Well, at least there weren't any, pits filled with animal parts, roadkill parts.
None of that. No, none of that, and no wax museums nearby.
That's good. Yeah, Yeah, Jesus, if I walked into a town like that, like I'd love it because it's awesome and it's you know, it's if I'm guaranteed safety, I love it. But
Oh,
Jesus.
yeah.
Um I don't know. I don't have anything outside of the anything to say as far as the falling in the pit situation other than that's gross. That
Oh,
smells bad. I don't know how they're
shouldn't have
all
followed the smell.
how are they? Yeah, I know. Like Paris Hilton's just like, why are we
Why?
following this? Why are we doing this? And then they're all able to like have this conversation so easily, like right next to it with the guy. I'd be like fucking throwing
I'd
up.
be
Like,
gagging. Absolutely, like, yeah, like vomiting. Like, that is disgusting.
yeah, that's awful. So
Yeah.
so they have this dumb idea that like they're still gonna make it to this football game with no tickets and
No
who
tickets, no
cares?
time.
And then a fan belt is broken on Jared Padalecki's car. So
Mm-hmm.
they're going to go with that dude who's not the guy with the broken headlight because his headlights were good.
Mm-hmm.
Turns out there's multiple trucks, right? That,
Yep.
that can happen. Um, and then they go into this fucking town. I I don't know. When would you first be like, oh no, everything's fucking wrong. We need to get the fuck out of here?
That's such a good question. I had I had a similar question for you. Would you not notice that there's no one in the town during the day? There's no people walking around anywhere.
Right. I mean, because you're supposed to believe that, there's people in that church, and then the one lady that does the motion that can do the one thing.
Still, still, no
Where is
one is
everybody?
outside. I don't care if it's a small town. If it is a small southern town, I guarantee you, if it's that fucking small, there are going to be motherfuckers sitting on their porch. They love to sit on a porch. There would be people sitting on a porch. Like, there's no way that there would just be no one. That would be very unsettling to me. And why do we not have AAA? Like, what? We're gonna walk to this little town, and then after I interrupted that funeral, I'd be like, oh no, we are not having this guy help us. He's gonna murder us. We interrupted his fucking funeral. Like, I wouldn't think it had anything to do with wax.
I like how they were like, hey, well, check on the church. Sure. Might be nice people over there.
I
You
do
never
like the
know.
funeral trick though.
Yeah, I thought that was
That's
really
pretty
fun.
fun. Yeah.
Um, I mean, all the buildings in this town I think are super cool.
Oh, they're so good. The whole town is so great. Took them 10 days to build it. That's pretty impressive.
Dang, that's really cool. I like that. I thought you were talking about it took those brothers 10
No, no,
days to
no.
build
That
it. I'm
took
like,
them
damn,
years.
that's impressive. I mean,
Yeah.
only 10 though, because they said that, the sugar mill closed down like 10 years ago. So it's been off the map ever since. I was like, that's a pretty like quick turnaround to
Yeah.
get everybody out of that town, to kill everybody who comes, and then
Yeah.
put up that many bodies. Because I mean, like she was saying, it
And it's
was like at
just
least
Vincent doing the wax work. So how long does he take to make these sculptures? Maybe it takes him less time because he has a human body to start with
and
instead of from scratch.
Bo's just all business.
Yeah. Yeah.
So because not they weren't all people first. Like there was like a maid that they knock over when they're in the house, and her head cracks open, and it's just like a hollow
Oh, I didn't even
situation.
notice that. I've never
Yeah,
noticed
it's
that.
not like
That it was
it's like a
hollow.
skull inside. But
Hmm.
I like how they're like, let's interrupt this funeral and then get fucking yelled at by this dude for interrupting the funeral, and then take it upon ourselves to go walk through this wax museum that says it was closed and just unannounced
Yeah.
and walk through this fucking place, and then go into the gas station and try to get this fan belt and then try to feel bad about that. I don't know. I thought it was pretty funny.
Well, like another thing here too is like we're actively breaking and entering into the wax museum. Like we
Right.
both said that we like a roadside attraction situation, or like, a Ripley's Believe It or Not museum, but like if it's closed, it's fucking closed. You stay out of there. You don't go in strange places and just break in. And this is also like a Mary Shaw situation where you have like one woman that has a weird hobby and the whole town just is built around that. Right?
Yeah.
Like, not a ventriloquist, but a fucking wax sculptor is what is making the economy just bustle in this
Man,
town of Ambrose.
I love it.
Okay, a fun fact about this
Sure.
that I also learned. I watched a lot of like YouTube videos of like interviews and behind the scenes stuff, which was really fun. They zoom in on one of the wax people, which is Miss Ambrose. Like she's wearing like the beauty queen like shawl and crown thing. I guess at the beginning of the movie there was a scene that was cut or deleted or whatever it may be, where there was a girl that is her beheaded like out of her car or something like that. Like she's murdered on the side of the road, and that's her. So you're supposed to like see her at the beginning of the film and then see her as Miss Ambrose like when they get to the house. So like they like zoom in on her for a really long time. But they decided to take that out, and I thought that would have been a fun. I would have preferred that to the twins in the kitchen.
I agree. I actually, that's what I was going to say is I think I would have preferred that. Just more your kind of, like any slasher movie, just set up your kind of before credits kill, and then again,
Yeah.
and then it would hammer home the fact that like, oh no, they are taking people off the side of the road,
Yes.
and turning them into this, whatever,
Yeah.
whatever.
And you
Um,
wouldn't have to wait so long. I think your first kill isn't for a fucking long time that Wade uh gets it.
Dang. Do you want to hop into that kill? It's a pretty rough one.
It's actually one of my favorite kills like in horror.
Yeah.
Because every time I watch it, every time I am so uncomfortable. But before we talk about Wade's hardships here and all the shit that he goes through, because he definitely has the worst death, let's talk about the fact that he broke into the wax museum, is
Yep.
chipping wax off of the building with his key, is
Hmm.
burning wax figurines with a lighter. What
Very
else does he do?
disrespectful.
He's like, he's just touching everything. He plays the piano. Shouldn't have done that, bro. Shouldn't have done that, because that's where you're gonna be sitting for the rest of your short life. Like, what a dumbass. Why touch the piano? Then, okay, you know what is fun though? The jump scare with the dog. I like that a lot.
What a cute, well-trained dog.
I love it because he's so frozen. Like, that's probably that is their dog, and they like taught him to stay still.
it's so fun. Did they, and then are we supposed to, I'm so sorry. Are we supposed to, those puppies that were in the window, those are fake puppies,
They're
right?
fake. They reveal that later.
Okay, wait. Oh, when she's turning on all the switches
Yeah,
and
yeah.
it's turning the town
They
on.
reveal it later. I thought that was like just a lot of really good, like fun things there.
But they're not dead puppies that are turned into wax puppies, right?
I would probably say no. They look like, have you ever seen those kids' toys that look like a sleeping puppy and it just kind of breathes like and like moves its head a little bit? Have you seen those before?
I think so. I don't remember
It's
them
the dumbest
breathing,
shit
but
ever. Yeah, they look like they're breathing. It's the dumbest shit ever. Like they don't do anything but that. That's what I imagined them as, not um dead puppies. I'm assuming if that dog is alive that they're not going around killing pets.
they're pro dog. Okay, that's
Yeah,
good.
they're pro dog, not pro human. But you've got all that for Wade first. So he starts off seeming like this really respectful, great guy. Then they get to the town, and all of a sudden he's like loosey goosey, fucking up the wax museum. Like you were so intrigued by it. You mentioned the sign on the way there, yet you have no respect for this woman's art, this dead woman's art. That being said, seeing them, he cuts what do you call that? His
The tendon,
Achilles
that
tendon.
Achilles tendon, yeah.
Oh, that's the worst. And then he's in the dark. When he's in the dark and you can see him, but you know he's in the pitch black and he's just swinging like rapidly, like that is very effectively scary for me. Um, I absolutely love that. And just seeing the process of how Vincent creates these wax people, it is so terrifying and so fun. When he have you ever had anything waxed, Kyle? Hair?
I haven't, and I assume that's what it's like, right?
Um, okay. Obviously, I don't have a full beard. So, for those of you listening, I do not have a full beard. Um, so I don't have a full beard, but that is thick hair. Now, I have had a Brazilian wax. That is not as thick as men's facial hair, and that hurts like hell. Now, he does his fucking eyebrows, his short haired beard. Oh, it's so hard to watch. Oh, and he's paralyzed but can still feel, like, he can still feel pain. You can tell because he's like partially paralyzed. He moves his arm at one point.
It's awful. 2005 was certainly a banner year for grossing people out
Mm-hmm.
by ripping out dudes' body hair. Between this and 40-Year-Old Virgin, both 2005.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Funny one.
That was real though. Steve Carell actually did that. Did you know that?
I did, yeah.
That
That's pretty
blood
funny.
on his chest is real.
So
Oh,
you're just one utterance of Kelly Clarkson out loud, difference between, a comedy and something very, very horrifying, but both
uh,
very uncomfortable to watch. I just thought it was funny they were in the same year. They're just like,
oh
you know
my
what?
gosh.
To I think didn't we have some, like, yeah, we were talking about Idle Hands, we were talking about like gross out moment of,
Yeah.
yeah, there was some gross out moment award or whatever,
Yeah.
or didn't. But I'm like, man, both of those just, oh geez. Maybe, hey, you never know. Maybe Jared Padalecki was like, no, I want to top Steve Carell. We're doing this in real life.
We're doing this.
Doing this.
Can you
rip
imagine?
out rip out that hair, pour
Oh
that
God.
hot
And he has
wax on
such
me.
bushy eyebrows too. He has really bushy eyebrows. And then he props him in the position that he'd be like sitting at the piano. So he's got his like little hands up, like he's playing piano, and he's
Real cute.
like his legs are, bent, and you can see the little whatever those fucking posts are that are like holding him in, it's like metal like posts or something holding his joints into place. Looks
Yeah.
extremely painful. Also, we need to send this to the research team because this is the second time that this has come up where we're like, if you're paralyzed, is there a way that you can still feel pain? And it feels very clear to me that Jared Padalecki / Wade can feel pain.
Oh yeah. When fucking Dalton is like just
Oh,
continuing
Dalton.
to peel off his fucking skin and the wax, and it
Fuck.
comes off together, and you see the teardrops coming from
Oh, it's
Padalecki's
so
fucking
good.
eyes.
It's so good
It's,
and it's so terrible. Oh, and
oh
then
my
like
gosh.
just the wax, that hot wax spraying all over his body. Presumably, like the first thing, of course, that goes into my mind, and I'm hoping because you have a dick, like you'd be thinking the same thing. The hot wax on the dick is immediately what I think of because I'm like, that would actually like burn, like sizzle burn that thing right off. That's delicate skin, right?
Definitely. Well, I mean, don't isn't there some S&M that gets really into like pouring hot wax on each other,
Okay,
you
well, that's
know?
different. That is like, that's a drop of wax from a candle versus aggressive fucking, like, it looks like a fucking water gun, like, or the car wash just fucking blasting wax at him. Like, he has to put so much layers of wax to not have the blood and skin just fused with it. Oh,
Geez.
it's brutal. It's brutal, y'all. It's brutal.
So I have been, with mixed results. I've been watching the Saw movies, and because we liked
Oh, how
that
far
10th
are you
one.
in?
I'm 5 in plus Saw X. And
Damn, I'm gonna have to watch him.
there's some rough shit in those movies, but I don't know. I don't think I could count a whole lot of better set pieces, or more just awful torture set pieces rather, than that in fucking House of Wax, because that's rough. Even Jigsaw's
Yeah,
just like, whoa, fuck, bro.
he's
I
like,
don't,
that's sick.
no one deserves that, dude. That's fucked up. I
I
don't like that at all.
The reason why I had to like talk my way through it is because I just, there are very few things that beat that scene for me. And I saw this in the theater. And when I saw that scene, I was like, I don't care what else happens in this movie. I fucking love this. I love this. It made me so uncomfortable. It made me like squeamish. And for it to happen to someone who I love so much, my Jared Padalecki. Oh,
Yeah.
so much worse.
I don't know. Sorry, Paris. He's got the worst death.
He has
Sorry.
the worst death. I can't even imagine anyone having it worse.
Really, the only one that successfully turned into a wax person out of the
Mm-hmm.
group. and he was doing that alive. It's not even like fucking Dalton. Like, I mean, he was
Yeah, Dalton had his
beheaded.
head cut off right away. So that was easy peasy lemon squeezy, honestly.
Yeah.
Well, and like he lived through it. So we're presuming that he's gonna just die of what? Starving at that point at that piano if Dalton didn't fucking get his face sliced off because he was being chased by Vincent.
Yeah.
Well, he would just starve.
Yeah.
You would think that that would kill him. Like I maybe he's just too young to have a heart attack.
Yeah. Maybe. I don't know. Jeez.
Oh,
Yeah. Oh, just like with, and
brutal.
this movie does some really good kind of just kind of gross out moments for me. It's like
So many good
obviously
ones.
everything getting waxed, the Achilles tendons. Oh, I'm always, that's
Ugh.
hard with me. And then oh geez, the finger.
The finger. Oh,
Ooh.
everything that happens at the gas station is really good too. That is a suspenseful scene. And when he
Yep.
cuts that little tip of her finger off, and her reaction is so good, it feels so real. Because
So
she
if
has,
he's like,
oh,
though, if he's like trying to like get her to like not make sound, I'm like, that's not a way to do it. It's
yeah.
to fucking cut it. Oh, and just oh,
Oh.
it's so bad.
But I love, like, okay, Chad Michael Murray's suspicious, like, I'm a cool guy, not really interrogating you, but I've got questions situation that he's doing with Bo is so
Yeah.
good. It's their back and forth is so fun. I really love everything at the gas station.
I forgive everything Chad Michael Murray said up until that point. Because from
Yes,
that point, I'm like,
he
oh
kicks
no, he's
ass.
yeah,
Yeah. He's so good and he fights the shit out of this situation. I'm like, damn, he is a bad boy. Like he knows how to throw a punch. He's like the way he like runs in and locks doors. I'm like, I could never be that swift and smooth in a situation of stress like that. No way.
I agree. But yeah, geez. I mean, oh, and then other thing too, when they're down in that fucking, this like wax dungeon, with all the giant cauldrons, fucking
Yeah,
hot
yeah.
wax and stuff. It's like even the fucking even the dogs like sitting there like whimpering and crying, being like, man, this is fucked up, dude. What are we doing?
Yeah, he's like, why? Why can't we just can we just go play fetch? Do something
Right?
normal?
Jesus Christ. So
Why does Dalton? This is what I always forget, and I literally just watched this like 2 hours ago. Why does Dalton leave the gas station when Chad Michael Murray is waiting
well,
for the guy?
Well, it was kind of Chad Michael Murray still being kind of a dick because they show up, they walk into the town, go to the gas
Mhm.
station, and then, of course, that fucking Marilyn Manson's blaring, you know, from the, I got
It's
fucking
the
Marilyn
soundtrack
Manson,
is really
goddamn.
metal.
It's so bad, except for
Yeah.
a couple. Well, there's an Interpol song, which is good, and then one fucking bright spot that I'll bring up at the end.
Okay.
But it's he's just like, hey, I don't hear anything in here except for all this music. I don't know. um we should go look for them. And Chad Michael Murray's like, well, I'm gonna go to the grocery store and go get myself a drink because I'm thirsty. Maybe they went there, but more of a thing like, I don't really give a fuck, I'm just gonna look over there. So he was still being kind of a dick. And then he was like, well,
Yeah.
let's split up, you check around up here and I'll go over here.
Okay.
And then that's when Dalton was like, okay, even
Let's
though,
not
gosh,
ever split up.
I mean, it's hard to tell who has a cell phone and who doesn't sometimes. Because I'm like, fuck, there was a lot of time between Chad Michael Murray realizing what's going on and then saving um Carly. And then
Hmm.
when Dalton finally dies, there's a big gap between there where I'm like, wouldn't the first thing to be like, hey, call Dalton? Because
Yeah.
he's walking around this fucking town, because they never
Yeah.
see Dalton again until he's already dead and downstairs in
Yeah.
that basement. And then he tries to fucking, he's like, oh,
Oh
I'll
my
help you,
God.
buddy. And then it's so bad.
So good.
I know. The other thing
It's so
too
sad.
with that Dalton death is those fucking shears that Vincent's using. Did you notice that with like the ivory, like fucking like
Yeah.
dragon on
It's
them?
like a
I'm
dragon, and like one side is the head and the other side is the tail. So when they're like crisscrossed, it like looks like the dragon like swooping,
I'm
swooping down.
sorry, I'm not a gardener, but like, what is the crossover of people that really like to garden and then just also like have those sorts of gardening shears. Like, can
Those
you
aren't
get ones?
gardening shears. He's holding two knives.
Oh,
And
I
he
thought he was
goes
using
like in
shears.
an X motion
I
right into his
know,
neck.
I know a bunch of nerds that have those
Yeah,
sorts of little
of
swords
course
and
you do.
machetes and shit.
Yes.
Yeah, so
And
okay,
they
that checks out.
I love the blinking eyes after the head is chopped off. I love a body like twitching or moving after like something has been severed or just, the full murder like that the body like reacts. I love the little eye blink. That's great.
Yeah, me too. It's really good.
Yeah. But he gets it easy with the beheading, honestly. Like he's gonna be a wax figure, or he would have if Chad Michael Murray hadn't pulled his fucking head off. But yeah, he's already dead. So good for him.
I think we can agree, hopping back to the campsite, that the worst death, and by worst death, I don't mean hardest to watch. I mean just like, what the fuck is this? Is
Yeah.
Robert
Oh yeah.
Richards. I'm like,
Yeah, it's off screen, which feels
I,
really off brand for this movie because everybody who dies gets a brutal on screen death.
and all he gets is like a big knife through the neck. So it's like, it's not even like it's super
Yeah.
inventive compared to everybody else's.
I do like that Vincent kicks it in further though when he sees that he's still alive. He's like, let me just finish that off and then move on to this like a decent chase scene.
Yeah, it's good. It's short. It's always shorter than I remember it. Um, she makes her way
Yeah.
to this. There's also this factory, right? Or is that the sugar
Mm-hmm.
mill?
It's the sugar
Um,
mill.
right. And she goes there, and then she very quickly realizes. Well, of course, she realizes someone's trying to kill her, but then also seeing like, oh fuck, there's a lot of people. You just see that crate of like cell phones, and that was
Yeah.
just, it just reminded me of I worked at a movie theater, and during when this movie came out, actually,
Yeah.
it just reminded me of like, oh yeah, that's what our lost and found looked like. It was just a fucking
It's a
like
bunch of lost phones.
a tub of Nokia phones.
Because just again, for context for the youths listening, those cell phones didn't cost as much as cell phones do now. So like if you lost your phone somewhere, it's like, nah, I guess I'll go buy another one for what, like $100. I think my first phone was like $60.
I remember I
It
had
was a Nokia.
one of those Nokia phones where you could create your own ringtone if you knew like music notes, and you had like
Oh
different
god.
octaves you could work with. So it was a very early aughts of me
Yeah.
to, I think I had The Whole World by Outkast, because I was able to figure out how to play
You
that on
made
my
it. See,
phone
I didn't
and
start
made it.
changing my ringtones until they had the clips of songs. And then
Right.
you could just, get that little audio clip and play that as your ringtone, which was very cool, everyone. So just soak that in. Yeah. She even like for a minute, like starts trying to see if the cell phones are working. And I thought to myself, I was like, okay, if you did find one that was working and you managed to call 911, where are you going to tell them to go? Like you don't even have time for that. Like you've got to keep running.
And we already talked about Paris Hilton's death a little bit
Mm-hmm.
earlier, right? So
They save it
yeah,
for really late in the movie.
they
And
do.
she's the last one, right?
Yeah, she's the last one outside of Bo and Vincent.
Yeah.
Yeah. So um it was a good death, even though just the physics of that. I feel like they could have figured out a better way for it to logistically have a pole go through her head like that instead of this weird spear throwing situation. I thought that was a bad
It
shot.
it
But
feels like it would be quite the I don't know what am I looking for? Quite the skill to throw that pole through her head, like the aim, the force, the the sharpness of that pole going through a human skull. Like there's a lot of factors going on there.
yeah, and then using the camera to film it, that's pretty fucked up. And then just kind of
Yeah.
kind of kicking
Presumably
her
he's been
down
doing
to,
that the whole time. Like
I guess, right?
a lot of fun memories on that camera. Okay, another thing that we kind of breezed by going back a little bit, which I think
Hmm.
is great. at when they go into the house before Nick and Carly, before they discover Dalton, they're like, we're gonna be in and out real quick. The two of them going through drawers, reading newspaper clippings, picking up jars, investigating things. I'm like, I'm sorry, you are not playing a survival horror video game right now. We don't need to look for clues. We don't need to know the plot or the reasons why. You just need to get in and out. Like you said, you're looking for Wade and then you're fucking leaving. And they're
Yeah.
so nosy.
Oh gosh, I mean, I guess good on them if they wanted to learn a little bit more. That Bo and Vincent just could keep newspaper clippings
It
about
did
themselves
nothing.
like that. I know. Yeah, it
But I
doesn't really
know,
matter.
like, yeah, like it, at the end, she's like pleading with Vincent, trying to say, like, you're the good one, da 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 da. Like she's trying to use that knowledge. It does nothing. So, it feels very silly, but it's the same thing that Wade was doing. It's like, fuck around and find out. Like, he's in that room. He could have gone straight to the bathroom and back, but no, he's going in off to the side, looking at things too. I like, are there cursed objects? Is it like drawing them in? That's the only reason that would be valid.
I know. Yeah, that shit's dumb. And that was after like, well, at this point they did the movie theater scene, which I thought was pretty good.
Oh, I love the
Um,
movie theater scene too. Anything that has to do with them, like in the wax figures, is so fun. And they're
pretty
playing
fun.
Whatever Happened to Baby Jane.
Right. Which I don't know that movie well, do you?
I've seen it a couple times. I need to watch it more recently. It's fun. It's
A couple
weird.
times. Wow.
It's weird.
Okay.
Yeah.
I like when, so they're getting out of the movie theater and Bo's got the shotgun and he's like blowing off heads. And then you see like when one woman's head gets blown off, and then you see that it's like all like rotted in the inside.
Yes. Oh, it's
I
so
love
good.
it. It's like kind of like getting a tree's age by like counting like the rings in its tree trunk. If you just like blow out the back of its skull, you can get an idea of like how rotted, and so you can
Yeah.
tell like because some when they were like got like arms severed off or heads broken off, you can see like pretty fresh
Yeah.
reddish
Like it was more
flesh in
red.
there. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I thought that was kind of neat. I really
I
like
agree.
that. And then also just, fuck, y'all just, Carly, you know, recalibrates the second time around with Bo, but fuck, after they get, a couple of those arrows through him and they just leave him there and they leave the gun
Kill
there
him.
too. You're just like,
Yeah.
fuck, y'all. Like she
Kill
she
him.
course
Shoot
corrects
him
earlier
in
or
the
later, I mean.
head. Yeah, like shoot him in the head. And also, they have a second opportunity in that house too. They're both hiding and he's like pulling arrows out of himself. That's your perfect opportunity to like sneak up behind him, stab him with something. Like, just so silly. Oh, also, when
Yeah.
they're at the gas station, um, Nick, he grabs a box cutter to cut open the duct tape for Carly to get her out of the chair. Why didn't
No.
we keep that? Why didn't we close the box cutter and stick it in our pockets for later? Instead, he
Safety, of
grabs
course.
a wrench. Grab something that you can stab with. Like, grab to stab. That's going to be the new motto, because like a
Yeah.
wrench, I mean, yeah, you could do some head trauma, but I'm going to need you to be able to like stab out an eye.
Have you not seen Clue? Yeah, wrench allegedly can get the job done.
It can get the job done.
Maybe he was
Yes.
like, I've seen this somewhere before.
I've seen
I've seen
Clue.
this work
I
somewhere.
know what to do.
Yeah. So, but yeah, no, and you had plenty of time. You're like, why are you all hiding in the house? Especially when you realize that Vincent's not there. He's driving off to go kill the other two, and it's like,
Mm-hmm.
man, when he's like in so much pain pulling those arrows out, that's when you come up and just start beating him with a
Yes.
fucking baseball bat, stabbing him up,
Yes.
and just, you know,
You had
y'all
to
are
have
just
found
giving him all this
something.
time.
Yeah, like they're like, oh, let's let him just patch up,
Yeah, let's let him
refresh. A
regroup.
little self-care before we circle back to this. Then they go down to the basement. They're flickering the lights of the whole fucking town. Idiots. Like, they just make so many bad decisions. The fact that they survive is unbelievable.
It's pretty good. And I mean, like, even just like how they survive is all pretty dumb anyway. Just like crawl, Now, I
That
do think
end
it's
scene
funny.
is the slowest, definitely, when they're,
Oh yeah,
you
crawling out
know,
of that, and you're
like
just
all anything like Thank goodness for the melting people. Otherwise, like that end scene would just be like a lot. Yeah, just too
Yeah,
many.
when they finally make their way out, and then it like, gosh, it feels like it doesn't even matter because they're just being like just slowly just brought down to the ground, and they just like, oh, I
Because we're just gonna
guess
slide on out of here.
guess we're here, huh? Whatever. Um, and then, I did laugh out loud. You brought it up earlier. That was another not an intentional laugh out loud moment, but when Carly's running from Vincent, and they're kind of running around the bed, and she's like, Bo, you're the artist, you're the sensitive one,
No,
your mother would,
Vincent.
or Vincent, yeah, you're sorry, Vincent, your mother would never want you to do this. Please don't kill me.
Mhm.
Like the way
I
she
love
says
that.
it, like
Her
she's
tone
trying this
changes
out.
really well.
Her tone changes and she's like, okay, like let's just get to the bottom of this. Please don't fucking
Yeah,
kill me. I thought that was really great
that is really
line
good.
delivery from her. Um, but yeah, geez, just again, Carly does course correct and then just will not stop beating him, across
Yep.
the fucking skull with the
Good
baseball
job.
bat.
Which
Talking
looks
about
great.
Bo, not Vincent. Yeah, but always looks
Yeah.
great. Love a good head bashing.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, gosh. And then
Yeah,
it's
I
all
think
pretty.
all the effects in this movie are really great. I think visually it's really great. The only thing that looks rough is I think the house melting at the end is a little bit of rough like computer graphics, but
It looks
I'll
really
I'll
dumb.
forgive it.
Yeah, I think just and I think I made a note in there, just yeah, just like the melting house is really fucking dumb. I did like that they, yeah, just like all the shots of the people melting, I think it's cool. It reminds me
Mm.
of like
Like the eyeballs melting too.
yeah, a little bit like Raiders of the Lost Ark a little bit. And
Yeah.
then also and then just like the long shot of like the cleavage melting. And I wasn't
Yeah.
sure if that was the same cleavage as like before when they were like first showing Vincent like do his wax thing. And he is like just
Yeah.
going to town making those breasts in the
Yeah, he
beginning.
was like, these are
And
going to be good ones. These are going to be good ones.
they, I mean, they did look pretty good. I mean,
Yeah, no, he did great. I mean, he's very talented. Like,
yeah.
you know, that's definitely true. Okay, here's something like obviously this movie is absolutely bonkers and ridiculous. So we don't need to
Mhm.
get too much into the science of things, but here's something that bothered me this time around that I had never thought about before. And just for context, everyone, I have seen this movie a lot since 2005. I watch it quite often. Um Going back to Wade, we're seeing his eyes, he sheds those tears. It's heartbreaking.
Poor Wade.
But what would have happened after he died? Your eyes are going to dry out. Like he's not going to look all beautiful. You're not going to see those beautiful green eyes anymore. Like they're going to dry out. So like does Vincent go back after they're dead and then fix the eyes? Like right?
Seems like it. I think he goes back
Cuz
and
all of
sticks
them
a
have
couple
fake
fake ones in
eyes.
there. Yeah.
Yeah, cuz like all of them have fake eyes, but he didn't. I mean, obviously for dramatic effect, but just something that I noticed this time around that I had never fucking thought about.
Yeah, just take the eyes out then when you're putting them
Yeah,
together.
put a little plastic, little false eyes in there.
And if you really still want to leave him alive like a fucking weirdo, like I mean, you can still
He
take the eyes
obviously
out
did.
and do that. Yeah.
Obviously did. Yeah. Yeah, he could have done it. He could have done it. He's not a surgeon. He's an artist, which, you know, different
So
types.
I wouldn't even say this movie lands with a thud. It just lands with this wax, soft.
Kind of a soft melt.
uh, so they're
The
able to
ending
get
is
out of
kind of
this.
wild.
Yeah, the ending is pretty wild when the police show up and they're just like, oh fuck, yeah,
This
wow,
is here.
this is here. And it's like this has been off the grid for 10 years. And I'm like, it's only been 10 years. Like that's
It's
not
not that
that,
long.
like
You
that's
should
pretty
know if there's
wild.
people living there.
Oh my God. And then
And he says they wouldn't have even known about it had they not seen the smoke from the wax like museum melting. The cop says that. So that's even more hilarious that like that place melting is what ended up bringing them there.
how do you get your like ghost town like decommissioned off Google Maps Do you like when do you have like a lease that like you just let run out? Like I don't know how that works,
No,
but
Google Maps is on everything. We're just talking about that.
man, one part I thought was real funny when they're sitting in the back of the ambulance and they're just like, "Oh yeah, that's my friend's camera. I need that." And they're like, "No, first of all, bro, this is evidence
It's
in like
evidence.
a multi-murder, large homicide
Yeah.
situation too." And then somehow Chad Michael Murray is able to pickpocket that off him. I guess that was part of his,
I think he
you
went
know,
back later because
Oliver
they cut
Twist
in between
criminal
that.
days. But then,
Yeah.
I mean, maybe,
He's the evil
but
twin, Kyle. He's good at crime.
I know. I just
Come
thought it was
on.
really funny how, he gets it back and she's like, "Oh, you were able to get it back." And he's like, "There's a lot of good memories on here." And I'm like, "Whoa,
You're about to
there.
see some shit.
Yeah." I'm like, "Dude,
You thought you were traumatized now.
yeah, you're gonna see fucking your pal get fucking just her head just, I don't know, with the fucking
I think
spear
I
piped
hope
through
he
it."
videotaped all of it. I hope he like did a whole video of like almost like
Should have
a
been
get ready with me video, but like him making Jared Padalecki a wax figure.
they should have
That'd be
done that
great.
like in a blooper reel over the credits. It's like all the stuff he
Yeah.
was filming, like ever since he took the camera. I think that'd be really funny. But and then, of course, to no one's surprise, like, when they're driving out, they're like, "Huh, there was a third brother." And it was like the
Yeah.
roadkill guy. And I'm like, did you all not bring up that there was this other guy here that knew
Yeah.
them? And like, what? I don't know what the
Yeah.
fuck's going on.
He just
Who
gets
knows?
off scot-free. I don't think so. I would have been
And the
like,
dog.
there is a guy.
Someone's got to take care of that dog.
Well, I mean, I would have hoped that they would arrest that guy and then the dog would get adopted by a nice normal family. He's gonna be like, it's already 6 p.m. We haven't murdered anybody yet.
Yeah, so, but I mean, like, again, I don't think the dog was very approving of the waxing of people's bodies, kind of judging from its body language during that one scene with Wade. Um, so again, with an unresounding kind of, well, here we are at the end of this movie. Um, Anything else to talk about before we move on, plot wise?
No, no, nothing else plot wise. I think I checked off. I had 3 pages of notes for this one, so we went through it all.
Yeah, we could roll through it. Um, are there any taglines for this movie outside of "Watch Paris Die"?
Of course, there are. They did have taglines. It only has 4 taglines, and one of them is "See Paris Die." So we already know that one. Um, the other ones are pretty good. This one is probably the one that you saw the most on movie posters, and I think on the DVD cover it says "Pray, Slay, Display."
I've never seen or
Really?
heard that before, ever.
Really?
I've seen this
I've
movie
seen.
a million times
Okay, I've seen it before.
and worked at a movie theater when like it was there, like in the posters were up and stuff. Yeah, I just remember the
Most
Paris
of the
dying.
movie posters I think had just that House of Wax, and it had that photo, like that same image that we all know and have seen a million times probably. The next one is "The flesh is weak, wax is forever." My favorite one is "There's a reason they look so real." I like that one. It's pretty
Yeah,
direct.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
That was my favorite. So real quick before we hop into Boo scores, you got the 2005 Teen Choice Awards.
There we go.
Your choice It Girl is Alexis Bledel, beating out, again, Amber Tamblyn, Ashanti, Sophia Bush, just to get you an idea of who your heavy hitters were at the time.
Yeah.
The House of Wax ones. Now they did win Choice Movie Actor for Action, Adventure, and Thriller, Chad Michael Murray. Huh?
Okay.
And there was a lot of people, you know, that
Action,
got this.
adventure, thriller.
Yeah, they just threw it around. They would change the categories every year.
Yeah, that's a little chaotic.
Yeah. Now Paris Hilton and Alicia Cuthbert were both nominated for the breakout female performance and for actress, but both lost. And also, well, two, Jesus, it was wild. Where like both Paris Hilton and the entire cast of Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants were nominated for female breakout performance, but they lost to somebody, and also Ashanti for Coach Carter. But
Mm,
yeah, someone I don't barely remember Napoleon Dynamite, but that won a
yeah.
bunch of them that year. That it was a
Oh, that
big
makes
deal for that
sense.
year.
Yeah.
And
I've
Jared Paddle,
never seen that movie.
I barely remember it. It's fine. And then choice movie breakout performance by a male. Jared Padalecki was nominated, but he lost to Ryan Gosling. So for The Notebook. So
Oh, that makes sense.
that's
Yeah.
hard. You know,
Yeah,
what can you
that's hard
do?
to compete with.
Um, I did think it was funny that there was a category for best lip lock, and by that they meant kissing. But I thought
Okay.
Alicia Cuthbert still should have been nominated for getting her mouth sewn shut.
That's
Um,
the lip lock.
because literally lip locked. And then two, that's hard. I waited to bring that one up until the end so I can make that dumb
Oh,
joke
I
because
forgot. Yeah, her because he
oh,
super glues her mouth and then
and
she
he has,
pulls it open. That's a really good effect. That one,
yeah,
that's pretty fucking good. I like
that's a
it.
really good one. So
Yeah,
those are my teen choice awards. If
love
anything I'm
it.
forgetting, I'm sorry. But let's hop into some booze. I think I can go first.
Okay.
Okay, I think this is a perfectly fun movie. I'll watch it a million times. I think it, again, it's like, okay, like I like wax museums. I like kind of roadside attraction kind of horror movies. I think just that scene with Jared Padalecki enough. Like
Ugh,
that's a
so
pretty
good.
gnarly, horrifying situation. But this might be pretty low, but I'm gonna throw a three booze.
Okay.
I think some people really have, well, a lot of people shit on this movie when it
Shit on
came
this
out.
movie all the time. Still,
And I was gonna say, I mean, I've read that it has
it
more of
has a
like a
cult
cult
following
following.
now.
I was gonna say also, by the way, wonderful needle drop, very 2005 needle drop in those credits. Helena by My Chemical Romance. That song is
Yes, I
probably,
always forget that every time I watch it. It's such a treat.
I would say, if there was like if there was a tie between like the, I don't know, best songs of the aughts, I would say Helena, and I feel like I have to give it to Hey Ya just because of just the cultural impact that song
It did
had.
have a bit. Yeah, it did.
So I throw out those two are like very much in that. I think Hey Ya was actually a
Yeah.
couple of years before, but fuck yeah. So
It's a
yeah,
great album too.
I'll give
No
it
Tears
three
for
boos.
Revenge.
Yeah. Um yeah, a three boos. Sometimes I'll veer between three and three and a half. But what do you got?
Hmm. Um, this is something I forgot to bring up earlier. Yeah, this movie has a Rotten Tomato score of 28%. That's fucking harsh. That is harsh. I do not agree with Rotten Tomatoes like 90% of the time. You know what? Rotten Tomatoes has a 15% on my scale. How's that? How do you like that?
Eh, I
Okay.
like it. Fuck them.
It has a 43% audience score, which still feels fucking low. Please give this movie another chance if you haven't seen it in a while. Hopefully you watched it before listening to this. But it also had a $40 million budget, which you can tell. That's a high budget. And it made $70 million worldwide, which is not not as great as it could have done. Um, I love this movie. So, like I said, I've seen it a lot since 2005, and I'm gonna go hard with this one. I'm gonna give it four boos. I love
Oh
it.
yeah,
I watch it
that's
all the
great.
time. I love the cast. I think there are things that are really silly about it, but for it being as long as it is and knowing that I've rewatched it so many times, again, rewatchability is really big for me. Still to this day, a lot of the scenes in the movie make me like very like feel like oh like my skin just crawls. Ugh. Um yeah, I think it's really great. So I'm gonna give it four boos. Going, it's on my list. I have a little, I love a notes app list. I have a little notes app list that's like my actual favorite movies that I will defend. This is on that list. I will defend it no matter how dumb people think it is. So yeah, 4 boos for me. This is my
Here,
equivalent to your urban legend.
I love it. See, and how I'm feeling kind of guilty with the 3 boos, even though I'm just like, this movie is really silly and really dumb. But it
Yeah.
is it's
I
still
thought
really
you were going
fun.
to go 3.5. That was my guess.
I was veering back and forth with it. See, it's weird because I was looking through some of the IMDb trivia on this. Who knows how much of that ever is like real? But when you were telling me that this was kind of written for Paris Hilton, there was somewhere
Mhm.
in the trivia that was saying that there were 2 other actresses that they were considering for this role, both Jennifer Connelly and Kate Winslet. Now, do you think either of them would be like, fuck yeah, let's do this movie? Do you think like Kate
Jennifer
Winslet,
Connelly and
2005?
Kate Winslet. I feel like their names have come up for other horror movies, or at least Kate Winslet has, and I don't remember which one it was. But her name has come up before
Like
in
maybe
a
when they were
possible casting or
younger.
something.
They're just now like I mean, that's when they were purely just both of them were in there like we're just getting nominated for Oscars left and right doing
Yeah.
that
I
sort of
can't
Oscar
imagine.
bait kind of shit.
Yeah, I can't imagine either of them being in this.
Just imagine this movie and just like replace Paris Hilton with Kate Winslet and what kind of movie it would be. That's pretty hilarious. But hey, maybe they do have that same kind of energy. I'd like to see a movie with all 3 of them. Connolly, Winslet, and Hilton.
Yeah. I think I can't even imagine Kate Winslet or Jennifer Connelly like playing that type of character. Like doing the striptease from
Yeah,
like, like in the
I
tent.
love it. Hell
Like,
yeah.
no, absolutely not. That sounds
So
wild. I don't believe that one. I
I
don't
know,
see
me
them
neither.
buying
I just
it.
thought it was funny. I had to bring it up. Um, Geez. All right. Hell yeah. I
It was a good
understand.
one.
I respect the hell out of that forward boost score.
Thank you.
Maybe mine will pop up. Maybe, we'll have to, we talked about this before. We'll have to do some sort of maybe at the end of this year, now that we'll have like a full year under our belt at the end of this one,
Mm-hmm.
we'll talk about like, are there any boost scores we want to revisit? Maybe we'll see where I'm feeling about House of Wax
Mm-hmm.
then. So, anything else you got?
No, that's it. We covered all of it. I think we were really thorough with this one.
Very thorough. Hell
Yeah.
yeah. Thanks, everybody. 3, 2, 1, ghost.
Thanks for listening to our episode on House of Wax. If this episode melted your heart and you'd like to know what we have coming up on the schedule, you can give us a follow at 321 Ghost Pod on Instagram. We actively respond to both direct messages and comments, so hit us up. We would greatly appreciate if you left us a killer review and subscribe to our podcast wherever you choose to listen. You can also shoot us an email to 321ghostpod@gmail.com to share any thoughts, comments, or suggest a movie you'd like to hear us chat about. Next week, we'll be talking about Jennifer's Body. Thanks again for listening, and remember, in life, there are no shortcuts, so don't fuck with the GPS. 3, 2, 1, ghost.